And
Whoever put the castle on here, that's lovely. When are we going?
You're on, okay. All Board of Library Trustees for Tuesday, May 18th, 2021. Okay, one sec, hold on one second. Just give everybody the lay of the land here, what's going on. We are kind of having two board meetings right now. We're going to finish up some work that we need to do for the 2019, 2021 board, get that through. And then unfortunately, we're going to be parting with Miss Christy Payne. Thank you for showing up tonight. Thank you for everything she's done. And then obviously we'll be bringing.
Many times. Thank you.
And obviously we'll be bringing in the new and get all that set up. And then we've got a lot on this agenda tonight. So thanks everybody for showing up and for everybody that sticks it out in advance. I thank you. Okay, so let's start with roll call for the 2019-2021 board.
Trustee Meadow,
here.
trustee Rule,
Here.
trustee Smart,
Here.
trustee Suplet,
Here.
trustee King,
Here.
President Zip.
Here. Okay, let's go on to action item 1, approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of April 20th, 2021.
I move that we approve. Second.
Okay, any comments, questions at all? None, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, we are good on that one. And action item 2, approval of the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting of May 3rd, 2021.
I move approval. I second, of course.
Okay, second. Okay, any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, that's that part of it. Now we get to the to the next part of it. We are going to do time for the oath of the newly elected trustee. What we're going to do here, folks, well, one by one, we're going to do it right here in front of this area right here. And I've got the oath here, and we will say to get everybody going here. So let's start with Carol. Carol Natalie. Yeah, you're new. Oh, Christie, you sit around or you going?
I'm sticking around. I just wanted to make room for everyone.
No, you're fine.
Okay,
Oh, all
okay,
right, it's okay. All right, good.
okay, very good. Okay, everybody ready? Okay, right hand. I state your name.
I, Carol Meadow,
Having been appointed to the office of Library Trustee in the Village of Arlington Heights
having been appointed library trustee in the Village of Arlington Heights
in the County of Cook,
in the County of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
to the office according to the best of my ability.
You got it. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. I'm smiling in this.
Yeah. Well, your eyes show it.
That one over here, okay.
I know.
Okay, right hand. I, please say your name.
I, Amy Samari,
Having been appointed to the office of Library Trustee
having been appointed to the office of Library Trustee
in the Village of Arlington Heights,
in the Village of Arlington Heights,
in the County of Cook,
in the County of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Oh, okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, we put the wrong one down, Sarah. Okay. Hi, please state your name.
I, Sarah Gallo,
Having been appointed to the office of Library Trustee
having been appointed to the office of Library Trustee
in the Village of Arlington Heights
in the village of Arlington Heights
in the County of Cook,
in the county of Cook,
do solemnly swear and affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the state of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office according to the best of my ability.
of the office according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Yeah, I can't tell you're smiling. All right, welcome everybody. Okay. There's your hat. What's your hurt? It was like that. Okay, so now we are getting on to the rest of the meeting, the official part of the meeting. So thank you all very much. Everybody is free to stick around, that's fine, but if you don't feel you need to, that's okay too.
President, I move that we adjourn the 2019-2021 Board of Library Trustees, please.
Second? Second, okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Okay, yes. Thank you.
All right,
Trustee Schwartz.
now,
Thank
I'll miss you all. Good luck.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Okay, now let's begin the roll call of the 2021-2023 Board of Library Trustees.
Trustee Gallo.
Oh, present.
Trustee Nettle. Here. Trustee Roll.
Here.
Trustee Smart.
Here.
Trustee Samari.
Here.
Trustee Supplet.
Here.
President Sick.
Here. All right, thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to public comments. Do you have any public comments? I see none. Let us move on to the next part is we are going to do election of officers. As this time period always comes up, of the officers on the board, president, the vice president, and the treasurer, they are here for 2-year terms, and at this point, we are going to determine who's going to be in those seats for the next 2 years. So we're going to start with president. And is there any nomination for the office of president?
I would nominate you, Mr. Zick.
I'll second.
Thank you all very much. Is there any other nominations? Okay, so all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. All right. Thank you all very much. I definitely appreciate the honor for another 2 years. Okay, let's move on to the office of vice president. Do we have any nominations for that?
I would like to nominate Carol Nettle for the office of Vice President of the Arlington Heights Memorial Library Board of Trustees.
Second.
I second.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, any other nominations? Okay, seeing no other nominations, please all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay. Welcome back, Carol.
Thank
Thank you very much. And now we move on to, do we have any nominations for the treasurer?
I nominate John Supple.
Second?
Second.
Do we have any other nominations? There's no other nominations. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you again, John. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. You're done with that part. Let's go into the liaison reports for the Friends.
Okay, got the update here from the Friends. They, on May 15th, they held their first 2021 outdoor market sale in the library's underground parking garage. At that sale, they sold a variety of items for adults and children, along with movies, music CDs, books on CD, paperbacks, and romance novels, as well as vinyl records and collectible comics. They made $3,301 at the sale, and they plan to have additional sales throughout the summer, June 12th, July 10th, and August 14th. That's all I have from the press.
Okay, very good. For the foundation.
I have a short report from the foundation. They said they have they've been starting the purchase of items that they sponsored for the kitchen, the small utility or small appliances and kitchen utensils. They received 5 mixers and are in the process of going on to the next group. So they have 5 or 6 different groups of items that they're purchasing. The foundation is also working on another project. They will report out as soon as all the pieces are in place. So we'll look there. That's all I have.
Wanting more.
Yep.
All right, okay, thank you very much. All right, let's move on to item 3. This is the review of the financial report for the period ended April 30th, 2021.
Okay, like ask Donna to come to the table.
Okay, let's look at the revenue report. So the real estate tax revenue for April totaled $609,919.50. The village distributed our portion of PPRT, or personal property replacement taxes, in the amount of $31,971.10. We had non-resident fees in April totaling $223.50. Copier and printer revenue totaled $2,235.69. We had some collection fees for late items, and those were $80. Lost item charges totaled $934.48. And there was some interest on our account at $397.37. Friends of the library reimbursed us for expenses totaling $936, and that was for interior landscaping maintenance and a Dan and Raymond movie club program. We also collected revenue for vehicle stickers totaling $84. So the total revenue collected in April was $647,400.23.
Very good.
On the expense side, 33% of the fiscal year has lapsed, and we have expensed 29% of our total operating budget. So our favorable variance is $590,105. Also on the financial dashboard, you can see bids were open for the Miller picking unit on May 10th, and a recommendation will be presented this evening. So there are no expenses for this particular project at this time. Another project we have in the capital project category, engineers will be assessing Kids World staffing areas, but again, no expenditures for that. And then construction is underway at the makerspace. We talked about this last month, but April expenditures totaled $15,256.08 for electrical construction services, $29,520 for plumbing. HVAC expenditures in April was $34,536.73. We had signage at $6,896.80, and architect fees $2,131.22. So again, these totals are displayed on the check register and the financial dashboard. And of course, they'll increase as construction progresses. And at this point, we're 41% complete with our makerspace construction. And out of the total annual capital budget, 20% has been expensed.
Good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on then to action item 4, review of the check register for the period ended April 30th, 2021.
So I'm going to highlight just a few checks that are on our check register for the period ending April 30th. On page 1, we have check number 81738. This is ILA membership for 4 of our trustees. Trustee Zip, Rule, Sublet, and Smart. And that's an annual fee. So totaling $300 for everybody. On page 2, check number 81803 for all promos, $1,147.39. These are vaccine card protectors for the public. They're a very popular item, and this is our first of 2 orders. So we're going to get more of them next month. You don't see the expense for that.
That was the red thing you gave us last month.
Right.
Yeah.
On page 3, check 81697. This is part of our Amex total, $219. This was an annual membership for pro literacy for our ESL department. Pro literacy members directly support programs and initiatives that have helped millions of adults gain literacy skills. And this purchase was funded by a restricted memorial donation. On page 6, check number 81800 for Zorro, $620. We purchased 55 gallons of hand sanitizer for staff and public use. Shopped around, and the price is much lower now than it was about a year ago.
I guess that's going to stay in the budget for a while. So.
On page 16, check 81709 for book page. That's $1,980. So book page magazines, they're very popular. You can find them in our slat wall here. And it's a magazine that can connect readers with books they love. So check it out sometime. And then on page 19 of our check register, as mentioned in the capital project section, check number 81783, signs by tomorrow. The $6,896.80, that's 50% of the total cost for Belmont signage.
What is that?
Yeah, what's that include?
And what is that going to look like?
You will find out.
Let me know. And that's all I have for the check register.
Okay, great, thank you. Do we have a motion for approval of the check register?
I would move that we approve the check register for the Arlington Heights Memorial Library, April 30, 2021, in the amount of $1,125,617.87.
Second.
Second, okay. Any more comments or questions on that one? Okay, roll call please.
Trustee Gala? Yes. Trustee Meadow?
Yes.
Trustee Rule?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Samori? Yes. Trustee Suplet?
Aye.
President Zip?
Yes. All right, great, thank you very much. Let's move on to the executive director's report.
Okay, we'll go ahead and highlight a few things from the executive director's report. On page 1, Illinois residents can now conveniently renew and purchase their license plate stickers at the circulation desk. Customers will need their Illinois vehicle registration renewal notice, current registration card, or vehicle identification number, and their current driver's license and license plate number. 9 plate stickers were sold in April. So thank you to our senior accountant, Susan Beckman, and our finance clerk, Liz Shiner, for organizing the operation. That's just a convenient thing for our community.
And that's a fantastic thing. We're talking about passports at one point too.
We were, yes. We did apply for being a passport distribution point, but the state of Illinois really controls who they authorize to do that. Our initial request was denied because there were other distribution points in the area that were already covering this space. They did say that they were going to reevaluate this, and we've since reached out to them again, but we've not been included in that distribution.
The post office is just right here.
Yeah.
They are, so.
Well, the thing is though, it doesn't matter. It's the library that has the hours. Post office,
Yeah,
not no
exactly.
weekends, no nights.
Right.
True.
And that's the beauty of having a drive.
Prospect Heights Library also does it.
Prospect Heights has-
Does Mount Prospect do it?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just Prospect
I
Heights.
just keep after them.
Yeah.
It's actually the State Department.
Okay.
Yeah, the State Department that handles that. And just keep after them.
Gilboard has it, right?
Yes.
Everybody Gilboard
We
has it.
have, well, before COVID, we were, I don't know, we were about $130,000 a year.
Wow.
That we were, yeah, and we recently, our people, because it was shut down for a while, we had to retrain. And so then we are doing it by appointments. Before it was walk-in and now appointments. And those appointments filled up like 1, 2, 3. So some people need their passports.
Sorry, did you do something?
I think it was actually closed down during the prior administration. They put a hold on it. And I, right, am I not right, Janet? They put a pause on it, so I think it's reopening now.
Okay.
So I would.
Yeah.
We'll check with you.
It's great.
Thanks, Barry.
No problem. Just want to let you guys know that we are starting in-person preschool visits again. Our youth services outreach specialist Laura Dacus and Kim McGuire began in-person classroom visits in April. Our preschool partners were anxious to get library story times back into the classroom. And there's a picture there of Oliver, who hung on or had saved every sticker from last year's visit. So see the enthusiasm. Okay, next page at the bottom. Again, another FYI, our programs and exhibits staff Jennifer Chika and Megan Young met with the Village of Arlington Heights manager, Village of Arlington Heights manager Randy Reckloff to discuss the village's ongoing DEI work. The library and the village will partner to present 2 events this summer: a bystander intervention training presented by Advancing Justice Chicago and CARE Chicago. That's June 20th, and a community panel on DEI. That's August 19th. So these events will continue conversations around race, gender, abilities, and many more topics, which all fall under the umbrella of DEI. Then on page 3, wanted to let you know about our summer reading promotion. This was with support of our graphic designer, Stephanie Batista. Our youth services staff produced a music video to promote this year's summer reading challenge. Youth outreach librarian Emily Cope rewrote the lyrics to Bobby Day's Rockin' Robin to explain the basics of the challenge and encourage kids to participate. Our teen advisory, Mariel Beechik, provided the vocals, and the rest of youth services staff contributed clips of their families and pets reading at home. There's a link here to this video. I strongly suggest you guys check this out. It's really well done and clever. So just wanted to point that out to you guys. So nice work for the staff on that. On page 4, I wanted to highlight the Teen Job Fair. The library's annual Teen Job Fair changed gears for its 9th year by offering the program virtually on Zoom. In response to local businesses and teens in our community inquiring about whether the event would take place this year, our teen services supervisor, Alice Sun, planned a virtual event with each participating business hosting a breakout room that teen job seekers could visit on Tuesday, April 13th. We had 85 teens visit, 9 participating businesses seeking to hire seasonal and permanent positions. Then on page 5, continuation of the Meet the Maker series. Continuing the Meet the Maker series, Arian Croft and Jeremy and Laurel Larson of Ill-Gotten Games shared their craft of model creation with 3D printing. The presenters began with a background of who they are and what they do, ending with a demonstration of free software available at home to create mini models. Ill-Gotten Games masterfully blended tech and art in 1 hour's time. The program was recorded and is available on the library's YouTube channel. And then we had 155 customers explore the homemade bagels with Bill the Baker. Bill walked the audience through how to make your own bagels and cream cheese at home. Attendees learned the science behind baking, as well as the importance of experimentation and tasting. Customers walked away with great answers and ready to try something new in the kitchen. This program was also recorded in full and is available on the library's YouTube channel. And it has been viewed 350 additional times on YouTube. I'm not gonna, unless there's questions about social media engagements, I won't go into that unless Mary has anything that she wanted to highlight. No. All right, then on page 9, professional engagement. Our teen services advisor, Mariel Paycheck, was honored by University of Illinois School of Information Sciences faculty with the Selma K. Richardson Award in Children's Literature, a new award made to a graduate student in library sciences who demonstrates excellence in children's literature and will work in either a school or public library. Faculty selected Mariel as the first ever recipient. Mariel will graduate from the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign School of Information Sciences with a master's in library science in May. Our genealogy and local history librarian, Jamie Middendorf, recently presented to a group of area library staff at Laconi's Pop Spark Talks, highlighting the Arlington High School Memorial Library's ongoing COVID-19 Stories Project. On April 29th, the programs and exhibits team, senior and accessible services staff, and info services librarian, Clemens, attended How to Write Effective Survey Questions to Get Useful Data, which was a webinar presented by library leaders. A discussion of how the library can improve surveys continued at a May 5th meeting of programmers across departments. And then on April 7th, the supervisor and management team attended bystander intervention training to help this staff identify hate incidents as they happen and take action safely and effectively. Further discussion and breakout sessions immediately followed the training. And that bystander training was also made available to all staff and the customers. That is everything I have for the director's report. I did not include a focus report this month just because of the length of our meeting, and we also have a staff presentation in the makerspace, so we'll be resuming that.
Very good. A lot of good things in here. First of all, the special engagement, all the things the staff are doing, that's always one of the more fun things to read, during practice training. So it's fantastic what everybody's doing. Summer volunteer squad coming back. That was that's great to hear. That's coming back. We said 104 applications. Are all 104 going to be given spots, or how many spots do we have open?
Shannon, you want to speak to that?
I will allow Trustee Gant to speak to that. Yes, we'll be able to accommodate our applicants. We might have some kind of drop-in volunteer opportunities versus 104 spots on small spots that are based on projects.
Sure. Great. Awesome. Yeah, that's great. That's great seeing that come back. And then the other section, the 10 train code and beyond, obviously there's some changes that are going on with those laws too. So that's a great program too. And the Your City at Home Partnership Series. This whole thing was fun. That it was a fun thing. It's great to hear they express appreciation for us. As we're going through all that. So a lot of it's like I know you point out a lot of things. It's always a great job, but keep pointing out all the great things that we're doing here at the library. Just thank the staff and thank everybody for continue driving forward. So
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is that bystander training the same one that we're gonna present at the library during the summer?
Yeah, I believe the content is the same. Yeah.
And then this is just like for my knowledge. So is there a month, looking at all, the people that check out books, or now more people are doing online, is there a month that is like slower for library checkouts, or is it, you know what I mean? Like May is crazy with everything else in life. Do people check out fewer books or materials in any specific one?
Yes, actually, if you look at on your April 2021 dashboard, under the heading of circulation, there's a line graph there, and it shows the last couple of years. So it shows you circulation by month, and you can't see great variance from month to month, but we do have months that are slower than others for sure.
Like is it May, or is there a specific month? I guess I'm just asking, is there any seasonality to that, or?
Shannon Myers, our circulation manager. Do you want to go ahead and speak to that?
Sure. So typical months is usually about February after the holiday season. So very busy and some books are busy. They need to see about February and it slows down.
Thank you.
Sure.
Very good. Any other questions for Mike or Tom? Very much. Mike, okay, what are we moving on to now? We are going on to old business and item 5, the Makerspace project update.
Okay, I would like to invite Natalie Clemens from Williams Architects to the table.
Oh, Natalie.
I have provided you with a memo and some pictures as to the progress that's currently being made at the Makerspace. Natalie, if you'd like to add anything to that.
No, it's moving along swimmingly. I think we are to a point now where we're getting most of the technical things done, and we can start filling in the finishes and getting the space looking like the designs that we had all approved.
I'm still looking for beginning of August, I think, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's always good for you. Yeah, yeah, the only thing that would hold us up at this point would be just lead time on flooring and furniture, but I feel like we're in pretty good shape with that. We're getting most of our furniture ordered very soon, and our flooring is already rolling, and we're looking good at that.
Natalie, what, could you tell us what adjustments or changes have been made to construction since we last met, or relative to the original specs?
With, what changes have been made since last?
Well, since from the original specifications that were shared with us, or this last, well, the most recent time.
Last month. What changes have been?
Yep,
how
floor,
we've
lighting.
evolved since? Okay. We have put in the hoods, so we've started a lot of the kitchen.
No, I mean adjustments, not just what you've done, not the work you've done, but if you've made any changes to the.
Talking about kind of how we, like, the sewing area got opened up. And
Right,
things, 'cause that was part of
the
the
quality of
original.
the
That was
flooring,
the
the
last one.
types of lighting, the LED lighting.
Yes, so one thing we did is we've approved some flooring changes that, because of some extra contingency money we had in the budget. So we're gonna get a little bit of upgraded flooring. The other changes, we had to change the outdoor plumbing because of existing conditions on site. The pipe was not as deep as we
Right.
originally planned, so we had to go in and
Any changes to the lighting?
No.
Outlets?
I think we added some TV outlets and we added a couple more floor outlets.
We were talking about all those wires, coming from the back from the poles and everything. Is there any,
Just plumb out.
this is gold candle operated, right? Steam operated. Has there been any talk on that at all?
A little bit. I talked to Gary about it. He said the cost would be pretty substantial to bury all those wires, the power coming in, there's cable, power, or something else coming in there. But he said it would be a pretty substantial cost to run it down the whole way around. And
Consolidate that, and there's places, go behind that place, it's just all the wires and everywhere. Yeah.
I put a squirrel running.
Yeah. Bird feeder. That's right. Andy, yes.
Right, I just wanted to say thanks to Mike and for like, giving me a tour of the makerspace this last week. I am still incredibly concerned about the situation with the sink in the basement. That sink is ridiculously small, and I'm telling you, it's gonna be a problem week one. Whenever you put an art program in there, and like, oh, we have a sink, like any art teacher's gonna look at that and laugh and be like, you've got to be kidding me. And so that sink is gonna get trashed and the bathrooms are gonna get trashed. Because if we don't make a contention plan for having another sink and a better sink, that's what's going to happen.
Which
So-
sink are you talking about?
The one in the basement.
The one, which,
It's in the back corner and it's like the size of a drinking cup. Like you couldn't even get a splash pan in there. Like it's so tiny, it's shallow, it's literally the size of my computer probably. Like it's just not adequate.
and we're getting as much as we can out of the budget. that was
And
approved.
I know that, I'm just like, we've got to come up with.
Well,
more
yeah, I
Because
mean-
this is gonna be a problem. I don't need to be
And
like.
If that's not included in the plan, in the build out, we will add it.
Right, we talked about that too, and like, I just don't know.
Is that sink original?
No, it was added in the late 90s, I believe.
Oh, but it's not, we did,
close enough.
No,
it's not
that's what I meant.
perfect.
Yeah.
It wasn't your idea.
No, and I know that, like, we talked about that it's like on the plan to change it, I just don't know where that, how many years.
I'm
are we
jumping on
talking
board
about?
here because what she's pointing out is that it will trash the bathrooms, because everybody's gonna be taking their filth from the sink into the bathrooms and wash down there. So whatever we can do, let's do it. And if we need more money, let's ask Lori.
Mom.
We're pretty tapped out.
Tapped out.
But she's not here right now, so
Right, no, it's true.
I think she's tapped.
we can throw her name around.
So it is on our list. We're waiting for a few of these other major things to be completed before we go through that checklist. And the sink can be added relatively quickly.
Yeah.
The plumbing is there and everything. And so if it's not included in the final build, we will do it ourselves.
What are you suggesting, like a janitor's sink, a deep sink?
A deep sink or even just multiple, like
What would you want?
it is, what I would want multiple sinks spread out. Or a big trough sink that literally would be like this entire table. Because you get done with class, let's say we're all in class together, we have 8
Right.
students. All 8 of you are trying to get to that sink at the same time. So guess what happens? They're gonna go to the bathroom and they're gonna start using those sinks. And it's one little itty bitty sink, and then it gets clogged up with somebody who didn't clean their brushes right with the oil-based paints or whatever, and now it's clogged and it's, you know, I've seen art rooms where they have a bucket and 2 sinks. So they have a bucket and a sink and a bucket and a sink, and the kids are supposed to clean their stuff in the bucket
Oh, that's a good.
and
idea.
then clean it in the sink, because the sinks, 2 sinks in one small art room in an elementary school was not enough.
Right.
So they have buckets and they have sinks.
Yeah.
And like, I'm very passionate about this. I'm sorry. I've done this.
And you've got a lot of experience in it. So if I'm understanding this correctly, and the rest of the trustees are okay, I think what we're asking, please trustees, tell me if I'm wrong here, is let's put a little bit of priority on this. Let's put a priority on this. Let's come up with some plan. If we can't do that, how are we going to execute this? Because if we can't get this bigger sink, we have to have some plan for being able to clean all that up, make sure that it doesn't become that, whether it's a functional, operational thing, some, whatever. I think we have to figure out something.
So is there any limitations of space?
Yeah.
What we're talking about is this budget.
Yes.
And we want to stay within the budget, we don't want to go over, but the reality is, we do have money. And this is gonna cost thousands of dollars to do this, and you're right, preventative what is it, prevention is worth an ounce of whatever.
Common
And,
prevention.
And rather than, go through a mess, we can do this, we can do it.
I just feel like we're setting ourselves up for a disaster, because I've taught, and I've also been a part of where I've gone to be taught at, various conferences and meetings and other art programs. And I'm telling you that, like, ladies my age will go in the bathroom and start cleaning their brushes because they're like, I'm not waiting.
Right.
And it will happen. And so unless we do something about it ahead of it, we're gonna have a problem.
So, Mike, Natalie, I think you just come back to us.
Yeah, look into it.
Come back.
We'll get it done.
We'll get it done, exactly. We're gonna
Yes.
get it done.
And I believe we
It's how
will.
we're doing it. And it's not, I have a change order for it. It's $3,000 to add a standard sink.
Yeah.
So I don't want to spend $3,000 on a standard sink. I would rather wait and have us do it and
Got
get
it,
something that's
okay.
better that would work more.
And I maybe missed that nuance. I
Okay,
apologize.
all right, that's
Get that
good
process.
information. That's good information. Okay, all right, good.
Can I bring up one more thing about the makerspace?
Absolutely.
Stop sign. Where are we with the stop sign?
The one
On minor.
minor.
I had a conversation with Randy about it a while ago. I'll bring it back. So,
Please do. I crossed that intersection this afternoon and almost had a problem.
Are they talking about allowing parking on one side of Belmont?
Yeah, that
There's
was-
no parking on both sides of Belmont.
Right. Yeah, that was another conversation that we had. That was another point that we had.
Yeah, if there could, that would be really good.
I'll bring that back up some as well.
Very good. Anything else for anybody else? All right, Natalie.
Thank you.
Hanging out.
Sorry, Natalie, you should come every time.
Oh, I could do that.
Okay, let's move on to action item 6, adoption of makerspace and kitchen policy.
Okay, so I'm bringing the makerspace and makerspace kitchen policies back for approval, further review and approval. There were some minor changes in these policies, mostly just minor wording changes based on the conversation that we had at the last committee of the whole meeting. This was discussed at the May 3rd committee of the whole meeting last. One of the largest change in the makerspace policy is the addition of the makerspace rental. section on the second page of the makerspace 7.020 policy. That was in response to Greg's recommendation to ensure that we could rent out this space as well in the future, not just the kitchen. And so we carried that over from the kitchen policy, the rental of the kitchen. Element. But otherwise, these policies are pretty much how you saw them at the third committee level. Chris Kruger is also here with us tonight, as is Jack Fowler. If you guys have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I just was wondering for the under the use of makerspace, the mention of 12 years of age and older with without a responsible caregiver. And then users under the age of 12 must be accompanied and monitored at all times by a responsible caregiver. I have a 12-year-old, 12 and a half. This is where I'm just looking. And then at during the waiver, so that's the policy, and under the waiver, it refers back to the library makerspace policy under the point 1. And then at the signature of applicant is under 17, it says that an applicant's legal guardian needs to sign. So I don't know if I, again, this is so comprehensive, it's well done. I'm thinking like if my mom were to drop, she's responsible most of the time. No caregiver, so, but then would an adult with a legal guardian need to sign at that same time, or could it be done ahead of time and then every other time a caregiver could drop off?
It's a one-time waiver signing. We may do it like annually or something like that, but they would just sign it in advance and then.
Okay, so they would just, so then every other time, anybody can bring, but if they come the first time, they need to have the legal guardian
Right.
with them.
Right.
Okay.
Do you want to clarify anything with that?
That was required. But that would be more likely one time.
Yeah, so we keep that on file, that's been signed. So if they come back, they wouldn't have to sign it. Every time.
So would they know, my only concern is that if people come the first time with a babysitter or a parent during this, or not a parent during the summer, that's not a legal guardian, and they're expecting to use the space, and then they are turned away because they do not have their legal guardian that has signed.
Well, they would have to sign and have a completed waiver before using the space. So they would probably need a legal guardian.
They would be turned away to come back.
Right.
Okay.
That was a good point. I didn't realize that it was a yearly thing or a time frame thing, so it was a good point that came out here. I have a couple, actually more than a couple, just detail, guys. I just want to see if everybody thinks it's okay. So if you go on to 7.020 for the makerspace, makerspace rental, line 1, so private makerspace rental is available to users over the age of 18. But they have to sign the waiver for 7th grade running. Should that be 18 and over? That says, I just want to get it right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is going to be the same thing on the kitchen rental also. Then we should have that. And item 3, that same thing, makerspace rentals. Item 2, items may not be stored in the makerspace outside the scheduled rental period. Great. It says the makerspace should be left in the same condition. I'd like to change the word should to must. I want the idea in there that they must clean this thing up, not like if it's nice to do, type of thing. So I don't know if the other trustees are okay with that detail.
What point was there? Which
Number 3, the second half of the sentence.
Page 2. Page 2, makerspace rental, item 3, after the semicolon. Okay with that. Okay, something else here. Oh yeah, a couple more here. Go on to the makerspace kitchen 1, eligibility. Number 3, it says culinary instructors contacted by the library and all renters will meet requirements determined by the library. I'm just curious how that's determined. Are we gonna have a set of policies or a set of maybe a checklist or something to that case where we're gonna have to approve that?
Chris, do you want to speak to that?
I think programs and exhibits wanted to have a little flexibility in terms of setting some standards for their presenters at some point in the future that we haven't determined quite yet. So I think it more speaks to that. I don't think it was determined officially or anything like that yet with recommendations.
Well, at some point, I think we need to have that kind of firmed up.
You know, the thing that caught my attention was the potential for liability. Then if we're saying that a culinary instructor is going to meet library requirements, we've now put ourselves at risk of having to set the standard for whatever that requirement was. And if things go south, now
We're liable.
right.
And Chris, Jack, what I'm just getting at is that I may even be going over the top as far as safety goes, so I just want to make sure we have all of our I's dotted and T's crossed. To John's point there, we're liable at some point.
I think, isn't this similar to what the agreement that we have presenters sign is what they're doing? So what it is this. A few years ago, we developed an agreement that we have all the presenters sign when they do programming here. I believe what's happening is the programming people are going to do a similar agreement with the culinary instructors also. And it actually does protect us from liability. That's one of the things that's in it. So I just think we need confirmation on that, but I remember we worked on it a few years ago when I was president. And
That's correct. I think they just
I
wanted to
believe it's
merge it.
exactly the same thing.
Okay.
Okay?
You know, I'm wondering though, if renters should be part of that statement. Because I would think there might be two different requirements. Maybe renters should go down in kitchen rental, you know? Because I think, you know, if you have a culinary store, you know, it just, that would coincide with the presenter contract or whatever that was put together, but the renters are kind of.
We do, and that last point, under the kitchen rental, we do say if circumstances warrant, the Municipal Memorial Library reserves the right to refuse, cancel, or reschedule any scheduled kitchen rental. So I feel like that's kind of covered there. We can refuse a kitchen rental for.
Then maybe you could
we
even take
that
it out of.
Well, you have it number 2. Requirements for rental are reflected in the makerspace kitchen rental.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Requirements were reflected, yeah, so maybe you don't need to put renters
Kitchen rental number
in
2.
under eligibility number 3. It just seems like there'd be two different requirements.
Okay, we'll take renters out. And do you want us to have further discussion with our attorney on this before we include this in a policy?
I think we should probably bounce off the attorney. Yeah.
Okay. Can you approve this policy with that?
With the
caveat?
changes as recommended.
Okay, and the last minor thing that I have here is in that same, make the same page, with kitchen 1, make use of space number 5. Okay, alcohol may not be served or consumed. Great, I understand that. Some recipes have wine or something like that, that's used in that. Is that going to be any issue, or are we saying that even for cooking, they're not supposed to drink any alcohol in whatsoever?
The spirit of this is consumption, you know, direct alcohol. We'll get clarification on that with our attorney as well.
Okay.
I thought that too, but I think because it says served or consumed, like it's not, you know, I don't know.
Right.
Like
Making tiramisu, you gotta put the.
it's, in using it, it becomes an ingredient as opposed to
Right.
consuming it.
Yeah, totally agree. I just want to make sure that.
Yeah.
that
So you're gonna do the same thing. I mean, we've had alcohol at the library in the past, and I presume it's gonna be the same protocol. It's gonna come to management. We're gonna make sure people who are serving are passive trained. They're gonna have to have alcohol liability insurance, so on and so forth.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
That's all I've got. Oh, no, I actually do one thing. Will there ever be a situation where both of these are used at the same time? where they're gonna have to fill up, well, is it, or is another way of saying is if they're using the kitchen, do they have to do the makerspace one too?
The waiver?
Yeah. Because I mean, they could branch out from what's going on in the kitchen for the rest of the.
Yeah, I would say that they would sign both.
They would sign both.
Chris, do you have any thought on that, or Jack? I think we just want-
I'd like to make a motion that the Board of Library Trustees adopt policy 7.020 makerspace policy with the afforded changes as discussed.
Second?
I'll second. Or Andy, let Andy do this.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's do a roll call.
Trustee Bella? Yeah. Trustee Meadow?
Yes.
Trustee Rule?
Yes.
Trustee Smart?
Yes.
Trustee Samari? Yeah. Trustee Suplet?
Aye.
President Sick?
Yes. One more motion.
I move that the Board of Library Trustees adopt policy 7.021 makerspace kitchen.
With,
Oh, with the, what was the wording you used?
Affordable change.
Yes, that.
Change.
A second.
Any more questions or comments on that? Okay, do a roll call, please.
Trustee Bella? Yes. Trustee Meadow?
Yes.
Trustee Rule?
Yes.
Trustee Smart?
Yes.
Trustee Samari?
Yes.
Trustee Suplet?
aye.
President Sick?
So yes. Sorry, going on action. Sorry. All right, action, we're doing pretty good here. Action item 7, let's go to review and acceptance of the annual financial report.
Okay, for the financial report, I am gonna invite Donna Eckel back to the table as well.
If you don't mind, Mr. Beatty is here, from Frigates with Unit, and he's going to review the 2020 financial audit with us.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
On behalf of SICKITS, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening, present the results of our audit of the library. This is as of and for your fiscal year ended December 31st, 2020. Just a couple of notes before going through the documents we've issued. We've issued 2 documents that I believe you have before you this evening, the annual financial report, as well as our auditor's communication document. Our audit this year was done fully remotely, so I want to just thank Donna and the team here for their efforts in providing the information in electronic format. Audits are, anyone that's been through them know that they are an inherently disruptive process. Doing them in a remote manner adds a whole different set of requests and uploading invoices and things of that nature. So we're grateful for the responsiveness in terms of providing that information. So with that, looking at the annual financial report, if you have that in front of you, we'll start on page 1 of that document. This is printed on SICKITS letterhead, titled the Independent Auditor's Report. Call to your attention the first bolded section, noting that management is ultimately responsible for the fair presentation of the financial statements. The library's financials are prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. And for the library, those are set forth by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, or the GASB. Our responsibility as auditors outlined in the next section to provide an audit, provide an opinion based on generally accepted auditing standards. Those are set forth by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, or AICPA. On the next page, you find a section titled Opinions, the opinion section. Pleased to present that we've issued a clean, unmodified opinion on the library's financial statements as of and for your fiscal year ended December 31st, 2020. That clean, unmodified opinion is the highest level of assurance as auditors that we can provide. And it means, in our opinion, the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects in accordance with those generally accepted accounting principles. You see a new section this year below the opinions titled the Emphasis of Matter. Emphasis of matter this year, this was a change that we had discussed making with both the library and the village related to the presentation of information for the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, or IMRF. Historically, that information has come out in partial form around this time of the year, and then we're required to wait for certain other information from IMRF to issue the final reports. So in discussions this year, decided to present information from 1 year prior to be able to issue the financials in the timely manner that the library wanted to issue on that. So the information is available now. It's part from IMRF for 2020, just we wouldn't be able to be here this evening presenting this report. So that's what the emphasis of matter relates to. You'll also see a number that we'll cover in just a moment related to a change in accounting principle, just showing the impact of that change. Just for some context on that too, for the December 31st year end, I would say probably about 90 to 95% of the December 31st year end clients that we work with have chosen to present that information 1 year in arrears as well, just for the time in December, not being required to wait for IMRF and their timing of the issuance of their final reports. From there, if you'll turn with me back a couple pages, you'll come to a section titled Management's Discussion and Analysis. These page numbers are notated with an MD&A page number on the bottom. The Management's Discussion and Analysis, or MD&A, if you're going to look at nothing else within this document, I recommend reading this section. This is really the executive summary portion of the annual financial report. It includes excerpted information from both the 2020 year end as well as 2019 information. Also includes management's explanations for why those figures have changed from 1 year to the next. There to provide some context to some of the numbers that you'll see within the financial statements. From there, if you'll turn with me past the MD&A page numbers, and you're going to come to a page 4, this is a regular page 4. This is the first of your basic financial statements titled the Statement of Net Position. So your Statement of Net Position is presented on what's referred to as the Economic Resources Measurement Focus and the full accrual basis of accounting. This means all of the library's capital assets as well as your long-term liabilities are presented on this schedule. Looking at this page, the net position section at the bottom, this is essentially your equity section. Your unrestricted net position was $9.8 million as of December 31st, 2020. That was up about 1.9 million. Your unrestricted portion was up 1.9 million from 2019. Really driven by two primary factors. You had about $1 million of increase overall for 2020 from an economic standpoint. And then you had a portion that was really potentially reclassified or reallocated based on current year operations between your net investment in capital assets and your unrestricted portion there. So that's what's driving that increase.
Would that have been makerspace primarily information for money primarily?
But yes, you'll see that momentarily in the budget variance portions as well in terms of the spending being less than that's what drove a lot of that increases. On the next page, the statement of activities. The statement of activities is the library's long-term income statement. This is a unique presentation for governmental accounting here, but you'll see the expenses on the far left side are offset by program revenues. And then in general revenues, the largest of which is your property tax revenues. So it brings you to a total change in net position figure. That number for 2020 was just under $1.1 million as of December, or for the year ended December 31st, 2020. The change in accounting principle that you see 2 lines below for $379,169, that related to that IMRF change and the reporting affiliated with that IMRF change there. So that would be just a one-time change that you'll see in this year's financials.
Can you give us, so what is the background on that? What change took place and how did it benefit us to 379?
Sure, so I was looking at the 2018 IMRF information. So essentially, as part of that change in accounting principle and utilizing that year-old information, the IMRF results from December 31st, 2018 to 2019 had a favorable change between all the related accounts from 18 to 19 on that, primarily driven by the decrease in your net pension liability from 18 to 19. On the following page, page 6, this is the balance sheet for governmental funds, presented on the current financial resources measurement focus and modified accrual basis of accounting. This means those capital assets and the long-term liabilities have been removed from this presentation. So the information that you see on a monthly basis is more aligned with this information at the fund level. So you have 2 funds presented here, your general fund and your capital projects fund. The number that I'd ask you to look at here is the unassigned fund balance. So the third line from the bottom, the far left column, your general fund. That amount was $8,842,530 at December 31st, 2020. A good ratio to compare that to is to look at your expenditures for your general fund for the fiscal year. Your general fund expenditures, which you can find 2 pages back on page 8. Over $13.6 million. So your fund balance as a percentage of those total expenditures for the general fund was about 65% at December 31st. It's a healthy ratio, up from 55% last year. And we'll see in the budget section in a moment here, a lot that was primarily again driven by general fund expenditures coming in less than anticipated based on the safeguards and everything else that were put into place in response to COVID with that. So
I'm sorry, could you do that again for me, please?
Sure. So,
The 8.8 million on page 6.
yeah, so the 8.8 million, and then taking that as a percentage of the 13.6 million, which is your general fund total expenditures on page 8.
Right.
So 65% compared to a 55% figure last year.
So in other words, what we're saying is that we're in a good place to hear this.
Correct. You have us adequate, adequate fund balance reserve as part of that figure. Correct. Right. On page 8, then, this is a statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. Your general fund, again, in the far left column, capital projects in the middle column, and your total column on the right there. Looking at your net change in fund balance, your general fund had an increase of just under $1.2 million for 2020. Capital projects had a drawdown of about $224,000. Both of those performed significantly better than expected based on the fact that you really still had a full year of revenues, particularly at the property tax revenue standpoint, the largest source for you there, offset by those reductions in expenditures. From there, if you'll turn with me to page 28. Page 28 is the schedule of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance for your general fund. I believe the agenda item after this presentation is the variance report that Donna's going to go through, so I won't go into too much detail here. Outside of just highlighting your revenues, as noted, we're about 86,000 less than the budgeted amounts there. Again, property taxes being the largest portion of that. But you'll see the total expenditures for 2020 was just under 15.8 million. Your actual was 13.6. So certainly that is what was driving your increase in your fund balance for fiscal year 2020. If you're interested, there's additional detail. I won't go through it right now, but page 33 has additional detail and breakdown of those expenditure line items for the general fund as well. From here, we'll go to page 31. Page 31 is the schedule of the proportionate share of the net pension liability for the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, or IMRF. Now, under IMRF, at the state level, IMRF continues to view the village and the library as one reporting entity. So that's why you see cost sharing disclosures related to the IMRF plan. So the figure to look at here, the 2019 column, is your planned fiduciary net position as a percentage of the total pension liability. That is GASB's way of saying funded ratio. So this is telling you that you're just under 92.5% funded at IMRF at December 31st, 2019. Expect that number would continue to increase at December 31st, 2020 in that presentation based on the market results for IMRF. 2019 was certainly a strong result for IMRF, which is why you went from the 83% or 84% to 92.4%. From what we've seen in the 2020 figures for IMRF, another very strong investment year. So I'd expect that funded ratio to increase as well for you there.
In the employer portion of the pension, so it's always 26.15. Is that goes along with what you're talking about with our tag on with the village? Is that correct? Is that what that percentage comes?
The percentage, yeah. So annually, what IMRF does after they've gone through their valuation process, they'll provide a preliminary rate determination on the final rate determination there. So IMRF, the employee portion is set by state statute, and then your portion, the villages and libraries portion are updated annually as part of that. So IMRF provides that information and looks at that all as one entity from their standpoint.
We're 26% of that.
The percentage, I believe that's correct, yes. I apologize. 26.15%, the top figure that you're looking at in terms of the allocation percentages there. Yes, what we did initially when the pronouncement was implemented is work to review the what's called the census data for the plan there and made that allocation there. We look at that annually as part of that to determine whether that's changed significantly. There is non-value added accounting changes that are needed to happen if you change those percentages there. So we monitor that, work through that process there, determine if there's any material changes to that it's not changed significantly. Certainly last year and this year when we've done the audit, we do analyze that annually. From there, the last thing I'll cover for you then is on page 34, which is the last page of the annual financial report. This is the budget versus actual schedule for your capital projects fund. If you look on the left column there, you'll see the fund was budgeted to have a drawdown in fund balance of $873,000 due to project delays, and you had a $223,000 there. So a favorable budget variance there. I believe that primarily related to some of the costs and the makerspace charges that were timing on those. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions on this document or any questions on our auditor's communication documents. That document, just for maybe the board's benefit, has really two major components to it. Our required communications with those charged with governance as part of that document there. Nothing significant to note in there. That is essentially a standard report that's there. That's also followed up by what we refer to as our adjusting journal entries, as well as anything from a past adjustment standpoint. And then our management letter is the following item after that. We did not have any items of the management letter this year that elevated to the level that needed to be addressed as part of our board communication document. For that, as part of our process, we always work with management, reviewing controls, reviewing the entries that are posted to determine if there's anything that can be done enhanced upon from a control standpoint, from an operational standpoint. There did not have anything to report for that issue. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I move that the Board of Library Trustees accepts the annual financial report for the year ended December 31st, 2020.
Second.
Okay, any more questions or comments? I will just say thank you very much.
Thank you.
For all the work. And obviously Donna, you and your staff and everything, good job. Good job in doing that. You got a second. Let's do roll call, please.
Trustee Natalie? Yes. Trustee Meadow?
Yes.
Trustee Rule? Yes. Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Samari? Yeah. Trustee Sutton?
Aye.
President Zach?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So what are we on to? Item 8, the 2020 budget variance report.
Okay, can I turn it over to Donna to go over the variance report?
Okay, on page 1 of this, the summary of the financial activity by department operating budget, I have some really good news. And then there's one piece on here that we can look at. So we were under budget in 2020 by $1.8 billion. Only one department was over budget. It was mine. But I will tell you why. Coming up on the next page. So let's start out in the administration budget, which is on the next page here.
Page 3.
I'm sorry?
I'm on the computer, so page 3.
Yeah, these are not numbered, so it is page 3 of this document.
All right, cool.
Administration one.
Administration, in the left-hand column will be department 6001. And then I'm going to note variances that are at least $5,000 and greater or less than 30% of the overall. So starting here, the flex spending account line is over budget by $6,624. This varies from year to year. Sometimes when a staff member leaves, they can leave a balance in that FSA account, or it could go the other way. And so from year to year, it fluctuates. And we usually break out even in that category. This particular year was over 6,000. Travel and training is listed here, and that is under budget by $77,970. Conferences and travel were canceled due to the pandemic, so that was expected to be under. Postage was under by $23,000, $23,863. And again, because we were closed, multiple newsletters were not mailed to the public. So that
Was it last year that we also changed the format of the, or was that the year before?
I think it was last
It was
year.
last year, so that would have saved us too, probably.
No, it's the same. It's a bulk.
Postage.
Yeah.
It's the printing that was different. Okay, never mind, sorry.
The telephone line on here, we converted our phone lines to VoIP last year, which saved us money, continue to save us money down the road. That was $24,357.
So that's the one out of the one we've read so far, that it's going to essentially stay, that should stay at that level, right?
Yes. And then, actually, it'll be lower, because some of the year we expense higher, so we'll see it go down actually in the future. Other equipment is on here. We didn't replace furniture during the closures. On the next page, page 48, is communications and marketing. It's their budget. The first line to note for a variance here is the other services line. And it was under by $9,721. And Patron Point was canceled last year. And there was less local advertising done. Again, from the pandemic. Printing was down because of the newsletters that weren't printed by $95,320. And then we were not giving away items, so special events was down $14,186. It's under budget by that.
So postage is under administration because it's not just postage for the newsletter, it's postage for the library.
That's correct. The next page is human resources, and they were right at budget basically. So we're gonna skip that page. And then we have our donations page. So 6004 is our donations account. And again, giveaways that are typically funded by friends. We didn't need those in 2020 because of the pandemic. So that was $8,185. And other equipment was down $50,000, again, because the makerspace didn't open, so some of the equipment wasn't purchased. All right.
Here we go.
Here we go, finance.
Can I ask a quick question on donations?
Yeah.
Why were we over on contracted programs and exhibits?
We put down payments for future. Yeah, there were
Thank you.
two exhibits. Yeah, so finance, we now have a service charge of $129,000. We had budgeted 26 for that. But that was offset by PPRT revenue. So when we get to the revenue report, we'll see the offset. It's personal property replacement tax.
Very little help.
My favorite topic.
So that's, Donna, explain a little bit.
Sure, yeah, so this is a tax that the village collects, and we are due a portion of it. It was discovered last year that we hadn't received our portion in 40
It's
years.
like 1980.
Since 1977.
1977, we got to see that.
Donna discovered it then.
So we got our
Got
value.
a huge raise.
Yes, right. On the next page, information technology budget, travel and training, they were under budget by $6,400. Again, due to the pandemic, no travel. Internet access, the phone line expense was reduced in 2020, which affected that. The software library line was under budget by $70,498. A number of software licenses were reduced because we didn't have as many users. And then yes.
That one, so when I saw that, my concern was, are those being brought back?
The licenses?
Well, that's a
Yes. In fact, they do a true up with us on a regular basis. One of these happens to be timekeeping software. So we used to have 250 staff members and now we have 217. So that reduces our cost to them. So it fluctuates and we let them know when it changes. And again, that'll happen with some of the other software.
Talking about software, are we still maintaining a strong vigilance on spyware, ransomware? Where are we at on that exactly in regards to expenditures here?
You want me to go into what we're doing?
Yeah.
We have-
Are we still on top of it?
Oh, yeah. We subscribe to a product called KnowBe4, which trains our staff. It sends out false emails to staff to test them, and then if they fail that test, they get sent to virtual training, and so they're doing that. Our incident rate of people clicking on bad emails has gone down significantly to almost an insignificant amount. We also have new hardware in place that looks at every link when you click outside of our network and scans it and verifies that it's not a known threat.
Any other questions about the software line? No, okay. All right, and then there was a contingency for software here that they didn't use for $5,000, or they didn't use $5,000 of it. On the next page, this is the
60/20.
60/20. So that is facilities. And facilities did not buy petroleum products because the bookmobile wasn't running for part of the year. So that was down 78.10. And then other equipment contingency was not expensed from facilities.
Go over 2111, the building maintenance, so that was down 75,000. Where did that come from? The building, I know wasn't being used, but was that just a whole bunch of things we didn't have to do because of COVID?
There's a lot of things in that line. I'm trying to recall off my head what exactly that was that would make that under. You don't know that one off the top of your head, do you?
Oh,
Building
you know, some of the regular cleaning we weren't doing while we were completely closed that we brought back. So there were a few months while we were completely closed that that didn't happen. And I think there were other routine building maintenance items. Are you playing with the budget? So, yeah.
The building's being kept
No, but
safe,
that's, I mean, it is interesting.
being kept safe and secure, and we're not missing anything there, so.
Contract housekeeping.
Yeah, it's cleaning service is a big part of that. There's also $51,000 of miscellaneous contingency money in there that probably was not spent. Trash removal was a large portion. Obviously, that would be much lower. There's just a lot of things in here that we would normally be using on a regular basis that would fill it close. We did not have.
So under COVID, most of the trash companies went to one pickup instead of garbage and recycling. And they combined it with just a one-man driver. So the savings is astronomical on trash pickup, I will say that.
Are they singulated though?
Yeah, they separated at their site.
Yeah. So with services suspended, that line was down. And let's go to youth services budget on the next page. We contracted programs and exhibits. Exhibits were canceled. So we were $10,803 under. Program supplies came in under. I was actually surprised because we did all those kits during the closure, but it's still under budget by $6,814. Program events, we didn't have in-person programming. Most programs were virtual, which saved $28,331 in that budget line. Info services budget, most of their budget is salaries, and that there are no large variances in that department. Circulation and community outreach, clean here. There aren't any variances that fit our criteria. Senior and accessibility budget. Nothing that fits our criteria here. They're under budget by 4.6% overall. Programs and exhibits. The big line here is the contracted programs and exhibits. We didn't have in-person programming and we didn't have exhibits. That was under $96,524.
Which is a huge amount, but it's only 27%,
Right.
28%, which is interesting.
Right, yes. And again, we did put some down payments down for exhibits. They did a programming at the beginning of the year. They switched to virtual programming. We still paid programmers and had many, many programs.
Plus had some staff openings too, right?
Yeah, they were close. Yeah,
right.
Digital services budget, right about where it was budgeted. So just under 1.3%. The next page, collections budget. Overall, they were $240,000 under their budget. And the biggest variance we can see on here is processing supplies. We didn't have the physical items come in, we didn't process them. And that was down 63.5% or $19,039.
Can you give me an example of what a processing supply would be?
Sure, we get the books in from our vendor and then they put covers on the books, they put tags on the books. And
It's, is it Simon and Schuster?
I was thinking when they were like returned from somebody used. Never mind. Okay.
actually, that's the thing too. So if they come back and they have an issue and we can fix them, processing, we do that.
So we actually outsource that to Baker and Taylor, which is a company that makes the books shelf ready for us.
So we're okay, you're right. That's what I think. We're not doing it internally.
Right.
We do still do some, and we do repairs internally. It's just, we do have, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's processing services, that is the outsourcing. Is that-
Right,
that line?
yes, and that's Midwest tape.
Midwest.
Midwest too.
Midwest tape.
Well, and I'm surprised that it's paid back, but digital services, I would have expected perhaps it to go up because more people use all your digital services and you have so many, but
Yeah.
they were still in budget, so that's pretty awesome.
Actually, the collections budget, they switched to ebooks.
Oh.
So they took some of the physical. That's where you would see that. On the next page, the makerspace, we know it didn't open, so I don't think we need to go through all of these lines. But basically, this was under budget because we didn't open, and that's $677,288 under budget. Final revenue reports. So the revenue side of things, we collected 99.5% of budgeted revenue. That's the highest I've seen since I've been here, in the last, 3.5 years. So, pretty good for being in a pandemic that we can collect that much of it. Any
Got
questions?
145,000 in grant.
We did. So one of them is our per capita grant that we typically get, which is 96,000. We received a live and learn grant for 50,000.
But obviously the late charge will not be anything this year. Or will be the late charges, obviously those will be something minimal. All right.
For interest, lots of money there. Interest and investment.
How?
Wonder that too. Sure. I could look into that.
That's just weird.
The village
How would you
handles our
lose money
investment.
on our interest and investments when the market just went crazy?
Okay, yes.
To make it a 45%.
I have a feeling, and I'll go back to the village about that. I have a feeling that there was an error at the end of 2019.
Oh, one of those?
Yeah.
Before last year.
And they needed for And they needed $36,000.
All right, any other questions or comments from Donna? Or Donna, I'm sorry, do you have anything or?
That's all I have.
Good. Okay.
Excellent work, well done, thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks for the
Hard work.
This is obviously one of the big things for us, you know, the budget and the money and everything for us to pay attention to. So it's nice to have it broken down, so we know what's going on. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Okay, let's keep moving on here. Action item 9, awarding of HVAC replacement project.
Okay, I would like to invite Jeff from 25 Engineering to join us at the table. And this agenda item is for approval to move forward with the replacement of the Miller picking unit. This has been a topic of discussion a couple of meetings now. In this memo, I provided with some information as to the bids. So we did go out to bid for this. We provided an alternate to provide an addition of a humidifier in the vestibule part of the unit. I have included the schedule that you also saw in a previous meeting. Tonight, we are discussing selection and award. The project would start in late September and complete by October 1st. And then on the second page, we have the bid results. We had $1 million budgeted for this project. FE Moran came in at with the low bid at $887,000 for the base bid, $19,700 for the alternate, with a total of $907,000 or $906,700. We're also recommending a contingency of 10%, putting the total at $997,370.
Okay, so the alternate one, the heated vestibule for service to that, which makes sense. You know, there's no issues there. You know, the humidifier and distribution, do we have that now, by the way? We don't have it.
We do, and we do need a humidifier that treats the air coming out and for our environment.
Okay. And then I know these differences aren't that much on all these bids percentage wise, but there wasn't anything additional or different that these other companies were offering on their bids, correct? It was all just a straight up RFQ? Right, as far as I know. Okay, I'm sorry.
Did we, what were the recommendations, or the recommendations for that Moran from other customers?
Or we have very good reviews from other customers. And FE Moran is using a piece of equipment, it's made by Seasons 4. Is that correct? You want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, they're a semi-custom unit manufacturer. We've been using them for, I don't know, 20 years or so. They make very, very high quality piece of equipment. Hopefully you're not going to have the problems that you had with your Miller picking unit. They are not something that somebody would put on a building that they wanted to sell right away. It's a long-term owner piece of equipment, so this thing should be up there for a long time. It's got all very high quality components inside to make it last, like stainless steel heat exchangers, things like that. It's much further advanced than the Miller picking as far as technology and capacity reduction that it can do. So I think you're going to be in really good shape with this unit.
I can tell you from professional experience, FE Moran and Oak Brook both are top of the line companies. We use both of them. I know both of them, and they're high-end companies. They're very good reputation, and they've been around for a long, long time.
Where they at?
Northbrook.
And Oak Brook, Oak Brook.
Yeah, the references were very good, and they've done some big projects. I believe the Willis Tower was one that they had done. There were a few other ones that were very large. So very good references.
We're working with, they're on our projects all it's not the only project we have this summer. They've got another one. So we know them well.
And with this 997 total too, we obviously have a 10% contingency in there, so another 90,000, so it could potentially, hopefully we don't have to use it.
You know, it's a, there's not too many things that you could use it for, you know. It's taking the one unit up and putting the other unit on. There's not a lot of, you know, discovery of things that might lead to spending contingency.
What about something like the roof curve up there? Is that
Yeah, so this unit actually is being, because it's semi-custom, they're actually sizing the unit to go right on that roof curve. So we had considered another unit that wouldn't have fit on the roof curve, but we would have had to use an adapter curve to make that unit to this existing curve. And, but this is a much better solution where they're gonna build this thing, they're gonna measure it out and build their unit to fit right on that curve. So.
Cool, great.
So I'll move that the Board of Library Trustees authorizes entering into a contract for the HVAC space, including alternate one. With Kathy Moran for an amount not to exceed $997,370, which includes a 10% contingency pending attorney review of the contract.
Second.
Any more questions or comments on that one? Roll call, please.
Trustee Ballard? Yes. Trustee Meadow?
Yes.
Trustee Rule?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Samari?
Yes.
Trustee Suffolk?
All right.
President Sim.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
So are we all done?
Oh,
Oh, nope.
Maker Street.
Brandon.
Can I ask one question? What did we budget originally for the replacement? $1 million flat.
We're saving $2,000.
I just
Hopefully we're saving
trying to
money.
put it in perspective, thank you. I couldn't
If I think
remember.
with that,
I know.
the same,
Right.
right? By a nice big sink with that.
Mike's gonna kill me, yeah.
Crossing. A crossing.
All right, make the space branding.
I am going to turn it over to Mary Hastings. Mary is our Director of Communications and Marketing. And her team have been working with other staff throughout the library on the new brand for the makerspace. The new brand will be released very shortly, within a day. So I asked Mary to come tonight and present the new brand and everything that goes on behind it to you.
You could sign me up.
All right, she'll just need a minute to start. You need
We're
a hand?
gonna share my screen.
Yes. You need a hand or you got it? Click the box. No, you're on.
I am on.
You are on. Yeah, right there.
Okay, anything you need me to do here? Is it
Just
on?
share your screen and then flip over to the full screen presentation.
Click on the picture.
Yeah. Click on the green arrow,
Oh,
right?
there you go.
There we go.
You gotta start your presentation.
Sorry. Can I move this little guy out? Meeting. Here we go. There we go. All right. Now the fun stuff. This summer, our community will discover the place where anyone can be a maker, the Arlington Heights Memorial Library Maker Place. The communications and marketing team has been working on the branding for over a year, and tonight I want to share the brand identity, the logo, the graphic style, the signage, and the webpage for this major library initiative. So the first thing we did was look at some area maker spaces and the different needs that they had. The collaboratory at Northbrook, the launch pad at Indian Trails, the studio at Winnetka Northfield, etc. We felt it was important for the name of our makerspace to really describe what happens in the space. The concept of a makerspace is new to a lot of people. They don't know what a makerspace is, and we didn't want to complicate that by giving the space a name that required even more explanation. So when explaining what a makerspace is to someone, we often start by saying it's a place where you learn different design technologies for traditional creative arts and make things. It's a place for trying new things or honing a craft. It's a place for art, design, crafting, creating, learning, sharing ideas, and unique to our makerspace, cooking and baking. And what do all of those things have in common? Making. It's a place for making. And so that evolved into the Arlington Heights Memorial Library Maker Place, a place where makers make things, share ideas, build everything from a new hobby to a 3D prototype to a new community business. So, who's a maker? We've been introducing our community to a diverse group of makers over the last 6 months or so through a series of 10 programs today called Meet the Makers. We, along the way, we've associated our brand and soon our space with makers of every kind and ability. The series is documented on our website on a dedicated webpage. All of the makers are listed here. We've got information about each one. We also have video recordings of the different events. And this was all an intentional series to build excitement about our own makerspace. These were virtual events that were live, introduced by the library's own expert maker, Chris Kluger.
There he is. There he is.
And the recordings are available on Instagram or YouTube. And so this is pretty exciting. And then there is the building.
Is this contributing to YouTube viewing
Yeah, it's streaming.
already?
So the building, the history of this building, all that is possible there for our community and the partnerships that helped build this first of its kind, 8,000 square foot standalone library makerspace. The visual identity of the space needs to live up to this, right? So we wanted the logo to be clean, simple, timeless, and really work well together with our library brand. It needed to be business-like because so much of the pitch of this space came in that it would help small businesses be creative and also help grow existing businesses. It also needed to be welcoming to the hobbyist who might use the space as a creative outlet. And one of the things that I noticed right away when Brian Benson, our graphic supervisor, designed the mark is that he took a historical element of the building, the doors, and used it prominently in the mark. This building, this space, this history, community history, and is the first standalone public library in Arlington Heights, our library's history. So the nod to that history combined with the modern and clean elements is both memorable and beautiful. And all the symbolism of those doors is that this is the entryway to all the things that are possible in this space. And that's a full mark. That same look is carried inside building to the wayfinding and the labeling signage. The bars that bring your eyes to each room's label help appreciate the height of the space, those very tall ceilings, if you remember. The bars are made out of a brushed chrome type material, something bright and shiny to bring your eyes around to the different spaces in the room. As soon as you walk into the makerspace, the first thing you see are those large windows in the back of the room. And we have the Maker Place logo there as well, along with the bars, another architectural nod to the height of the space. They're simple, clean, beautiful, and they're also a decorative element that catches your eye without being obtrusive. The application room signage. Last but not least, the exterior sign. We're updating the current monument sign with a mounted panel to minimize costs by using the existing sign structure. The panel will fit between those two stone columns on each side, and those match the original finish of the building, so it really blends old and new quite nicely.
Light it or the light front of it?
I believe there's a landscape type light at
see
the
it right
base.
there.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, that is.
That's a
Yeah,
rendering.
like,
Yeah, there's 2 floods in front of it currently, but there are bushes blocking that, so we need to trim that back.
is that, once we do that, is that going to be an effect on the people, the neighbors?
No, it's existing. So it should, and where it's pointed, it's at the building, it's not at any homes.
Homes are on the other side.
So as far as advertising goes, we have a series of print ads that are launching. This one is the Chamber of Commerce Business Guide. We put an ad in the book, and they're also including a story that communication specialist Pat Angel wrote about the makerspace in our newsletter, which is really our largest targeted reach. We've been sharing news, building anticipation, showing progress of the building out of the space during construction over the last several months. And then likewise on social media, we've been sharing those similar images, some of Chris's construction updates with our community, and that they are really engaging with these posts and really excited about the space. Summer newsletter will arrive in homes at the end of this month. This is the cover, and we dedicated that, and then 4 additional pages inside to the makerspace. We're going to print tonight before our building is complete, obviously, so we're referring everyone to the webpage for more information on events and program dates. This is a look at one of the inside spreads. We've got the big renderings and descriptions of each space as well. And then this is the digital materials here. This will be the new website. So right now, when you go to the makerspace page, there's just a general overview with updates. This URL will go live sometime tomorrow after our open mic meeting, which is our version of a town hall with staff. And we'll link this up from the front page of the library website. And each space, each area, the verification room, the flex space, etc. When you click on that, you're linked to a lot more information about that particular space, as well as an in-depth guide to all the different equipment. I think there's only over 20 pieces of equipment that we talk about on the website as well. This is a new format that our IT department built specifically for this type of content. It's just so unique because there's so much information in each subset there, and we had to have a new way to show that. So special thanks, especially to Brian Benson, our graphic supervisor, who created the logo and all the signage. And this is just the latest example of this outstanding work. And all the copy and taglines are developed by our editorial team, and IT created the website, and digital services provided the content. It really was a true team effort. Thank you for your time tonight. We're excited to introduce the community to our Makerplace. And I'm happy to take any questions that you might have about the branding and content.
Yes.
First of all, incredible job. There are not many libraries in the country that have a department like you have, and we're blessed to have, that could put something like this together in-house and save us so much frigging money, it's not even funny. And, you know, your success is well documented and been awarded numerous times. I just want to make sure that perhaps we are very aggressive in reaching out to maybe some of the TV channels. You know, ABC likes to come out to things like this. I would like to see when we open that we, you know, have them out here, because this is, as you said, the largest self-standing makerspace in the country, and people, I don't think, understand from a public library standpoint what an incredible feat that is for our community and how proud they should be. And I think the time to get people in the habit of thinking of using the makerspace is from day one. So I just would like to, first of all, thank you again. You guys do a great job. And I just want to make sure we really have the bang we need to have when this thing opens in regards to media coverage, so on and so forth, because it is quite an amazing and long drawn out thing that we've been going through. And I want to make sure we maximize this for our community.
We will, we're gonna have, we're gonna do private media tours. We're not gonna have a media day. We're gonna invite the Daily Herald out, the Chicago Tribune. We've got a couple of TV reporters on our list to try to approach with a private tour first. We think allowing them to get their own story rather than everybody leaving for the same one might give us a good opportunity.
Yeah, I can't emphasize what Debbie said enough in the fabulous job you've done on all of our behalf. It's just extraordinary work. And the need to take credit for it. So while we're looking at, you know, the public relations side of it, and Amy can help with that in terms of our board understanding. My point would be awards. Every single award that you could possibly apply for, you should jump on now while it's fresh, and it'll be in front of everybody. And that includes from the IT people who are engaged with this all the way through to the art people and the building itself. You just really pile on the awards.
You might know somebody who works on the awards for the American Library Association. I don't know who that is. Probably could help.
Well, I think too, having worked at PR agencies and there's so many things you can do with it, and that's so great that you all thought of now in the future, and what can I make today, and what do you want to, you know, I see it all, and I think it's simple, but it's classic, and yet it really, I think, goes with the library as well. And I mean, I just encourage you. You're right. I think the private tours are a great idea. We could get maybe a Mary Schmidt or, you know, a columnist to come out, and then the lifestyle reporter and the business reporter, whatever. There's a lot of opportunities, and it looks so good too. So it's photographed great. So congratulations. It's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna beat myself. It's great, but I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's a great logo. That's a, you know, the whole environment there, you know, seeing these pictures right now and seeing how it's going to, you know, how it's going to look even more so than the rendering. Nothing against your renderings. Nothing against your renderings. But
That's gonna look like that.
Seeing that, it's just, I can't wait to those opening ceremonies and get this thing going. So good, yeah, great job. Anything else? We good?
Thank you, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you, excellent.
And seeing the progress this last week was really great.
Yeah. All right, we are on to the famous other. Is there any other? I have none.
Donna is just going to update us on investments.
Yeah, so Brett, good point regarding the interest. I double checked, and according to our audit and other financials, we did have interest, netting $46,141. So what we saw on this sheet was the revenue for the operating budget. So the capital had the offset to that of $46,141.
That was interesting, was in document, it said investment income, we have 807,000, $807,000 general, and capital projects is 45,000.
Right, so, yeah, that's the thing, so think is usually more even, and they were making an adjustment from the previous year in the operating budget, because the first 3 or 4 months of the year, they were all negative numbers, and then everything started going into capital. So I will again double check with them, but we did actually have interest of 46,141.
Can I ask what the cat is all about?
I was gonna ask the same question. What is it?
I didn't know if that was like. a
That is
thing.
Pay for that.
comfort cat.
Shannon, do you want to talk about the cat?
We purchased the cat in 2019. It was by staff in our senior and accessible services department. They're very popular in care facilities and with dementia and Alzheimer's patients. So unfortunately, the cat was in my office COVID, but obviously she's super happy to get out. And you just have to kind of peel back the skin to turn around.
Peel back the skin.
He thought it's like a long meeting, so we thought we might need a comfort cat after tonight.
I got it. I wasn't sure. Trustee Supplet,
That's
you
your
know.
tax dollars at work.
Yeah,
He
but
brought
no.
his comfort cat.
No, I had some comments about it when it showed up. I don't like cats. No, I don't.
That's why it's next to you.
Okay, as it goes on YouTube.
So you guys saw that Mike and I will be presenting
Yes.
at the American Library Association. We've been invited by the president for United for Libraries to do the presidential. You have to write it tomorrow because we're gonna be recording it, and it'll be available. We'll get you the link hopefully on June 25th. Is our big day. So
Awesome.
Good.
this is a big deal for us. So we talk about, exposure. Well, there's 14,000 people that'll be watching that allegedly, so we'll see.
That is fantastic.
We're excited. We could write it tomorrow.
Write it.
Better put it
produce
together. We haven't put it, we haven't
all that
got
kind of
it together yet.
It'll come.
Well, you're supposed to be sending me some comments.
It'll flow. It'll flow.
stuff. Any other? We good? Okay, do we have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.